Following is rated TV MALSV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Burden is like ridiculous after the catch, right? Like stupid good after the catch. He's got like 30 broken tackles last year alone. 30 in a single season for a wide receiver. That's nuts. This was in the down year that people are like criticizing him for. 30 broken tackles. He's got 65 over 3 years. You know who that's like?
OBJ?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it is. Now, OBJ, better prospect, way more complete receiver when he was coming out. There was so much more on tape that you could project immediately. You didn't need to project. It was there, right? We could see him running legitimate routes, being a real NFL wide receiver coming out of that offense. There's more projection with Burden, but he's got that OBJ Giants era after the catch dynamism.
Let's build the ultimate wide receiver. Whose size?
DK.
Whose speed do you want?
Tyreek Hill.
Who's the best at the 50-50 jump ball?
Mike Evans.
Who's route running?
Justin Jefferson.
Whose hands?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Whose strength?
I'm gonna go DK again.
And whose swagger?
Swagger, like on the field swagger or like?
You can give me both.
On the field, I'm gonna say Stephon Diggs.
Okay.
Off the field, I'm gonna say I'll go Jettis.
Okay.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. My favorite player at receiver in the draft is Luther Burden out of Missouri. I mean, damn, that guy he's just awesome. I mean, it's just like a Deebo Samuel with speed kind of thing. So I think Luther Burden is a guy that is going to take the league by storm. I really do. When I was watching him, I was just going, oh my gosh, there's nothing this guy does that I don't just love. And I think he's one of those, when you talk about Deebo Samuel, you know, he plays like that, but he's faster. When you have a physical presence at the wide receiver position, it just does something to your team.
Colson Loveland's going to be a top 20 pick, the Michigan tight end, who's my tight end too. Loveland is somebody a little bit banged up this year, but a mismatch player. The route running is really, really special. Another guy too quick with the lateral agility for linebackers, but he's bigger than corners and safeties. He sells his routes with head and shoulder fakes. Really talented in that aspect. And then we talk about some of the guys with the best hands in the draft. Jack Besh with the wide receivers. Loveland fits that mold at tight end. He just catches everything. He flows with his quarterback when the play breaks down. That's an underrated skill. Let's take a look at here. This is a quarterback rolling out. Okay, I'm running out of room to the sideline. Let me flow back into the field. And now I got to control my body, high point the ball, strong hands. Look at the challenge at the catch point there. Pull it in and go down. And with Loveland, he's bigger than people realize. They thought he's this Dalton Kincaid, this move tight end. He came to the combine at 252 with a shoulder injury. When he starts lifting again, he's going to be closer to 258. This is a really special tight end group at the top.
He's so smooth. It's like wide receiver fluidity and just a massive man size. Big catches that he had all the time.
This guy is 6'6", 248 pounds. I think that this is an all-around player, and I thought that his speed was actually really impressive once he got going. In the meantime, he's also like a totally fine run blocker. I think one of the best route runners I could remember at the tight end position.
I do feel like there are some cons, some negatives that people bring up. I do think he can drop, a tight window target here or there. He only forced 7 missed tackles over the last 2 years.
Dallas Goedert, kind of like what I'm expecting Colson Loveland to be.
I saw maturation in his game over the last 2 years that makes Colson Loveland my tight end 1 in this class.
up, baby? Johnny Santucci and Aldo Gandia here. We'll welcome our guest in a minute. Tooch, how are you, my friend?
Great, man. That was a killer open.
Thank you. I like putting those together.
You had the Josh and Hayden in there from Underdog Fantasy. They do great breakdowns. I was trying to get Hayden on because he's a Bears fan.
Oh, really?
Hayden Winks. Yeah, the main guy is like Josh. He's really good too. He's like he doesn't look like he's a young guy. He looks like older. Yeah. But I think he's the same age as Hayden. He's just like premature balding. But Hayden's like the I've heard him say like for his team, and when he talks about Bears, you know. But I've been trying to get him. I message him on X, but I haven't heard back.
I'll tell you, I was inspired to put that together because the media is giving the Bears thumbs up, A's, B pluses, A pluses, A minuses for this draft and what the Bears have done in their entirety during the offseason. But guys like me, you, and I want to believe Sammo's probably feeling this way too. We still have a little doubt that this is really going to happen, that we're going to have a sustainable, victorious team, right?
I don't blame him. I'm kind of, I'll hit it on Bears State of Affairs about, the caution. The caution flags might go up, Aldo and Tooch caution flags before the season.
There you go. I can't wait to hear it.
If Sammo is feeling the same way, I don't blame him.
Yeah, well, let's ask him right now. There he is, man in the middle.
Sammo.
Sammo.
Hey, what's up, Aldo? Pie Father, Tucci.
All right.
What's going on?
What's up, Sammo?
Hey, great intro. Countdown, that was great, Aldo. That's
Thank you, man.
Pie Father. I see it.
Hey. Thanks, appreciate that. How you been, man? What's been going on in the Sammo life?
Man, so much, man. Dealing with a bunch of family losses, man. It's been crazy over the past couple of weeks.
Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah. They say death comes in threes. It came in threes this time for me, man. Yeah, lost my grandfather and my uncle both to cancer within 2 weeks. And then one of my friends, my close friends, was hit and run, and man, it was just crazy. Killed in a hit and run accident. So yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. So I'm just keeping my spirits up, man. Thinking about these Bears, and just to try to keep the family in good spirits, making sure moms and grandma are okay. So, I think they're in a much better place than they were when it originally happened. So, life goes on. We have to remember the good times,
Exactly. Those memories are what sustain us. So I can hear you, Sammo, but I can't see you. For some reason, we've lost your camera. But there it is.
There it is.
There it is. Good looking guy. We had to keep the camera on you, man. Sorry.
But other than that, man, I'm cautiously optimistic, man. Extremely cautious. Just like you guys, man. I don't think the draft went the way any of us predicted it would go. I don't think we got any of the players that any of us really wanted to get. It's just so crazy how the Bears how their big board stacked up against everyone else's too, man, because I didn't see anywhere. The only person that I saw that really liked Colston Loveland over what's his name? Tyler Warren right now was J2K. And I know he was standing tall and saying that he thought that Colston Loveland was the better player. But even then, man, none of the draft pundits, the national pundits, had predicted him to even be a top 10 pick that I saw. And it was just surprising to me. Then the second round comes around and we pick a wide receiver. And it was just like, whoa, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then we trade back. It's just so many weird things. I'm sure we'll get into all of them. But man, it's just a weird draft to me, man. We didn't pick a running back until the 7th round. We take a 4th round, 6 foot tall linebacker from Maryland because he ran a 4.39 40. Like, come on now. Like, what are we doing? So that's why I'm a little bit optimistic. And I like the tackle, but I wasn't as high on him. I think we should have taken Ursary when we had the opportunity to take him. second in the second round. So it's just like we were jumping around good players, and we didn't get a pass rusher. I really like Shamar Turner a lot. I really like him. I think he's going to be a great player, but what does that mean for Grady Jarrett and Javon Dexter? They all play the same position, 3-tech. So it's like, so what does that mean? Is you're going to try to force Javon Dexter to play some nose tackle now after he just lost weight last year to be a better 3-tech? It's just a weird draft to me, man.
Dennis Allen is known for doing that, playing guys out of position, having them play as multiple positions as possible, having that versatility. He's already publicly in his press conferences said about Kyler Gordon, they're going to test him at the outside corner position and at safety. TJ Edwards talked about him playing more middle linebacker this year. So Dennis Allen, his trick of trades is confusing the quarterback. Making them wonder, where's Tremaine? Where's this guy? Is this guy even on the field, kind of thing? And so that's what they've been building towards. So it's going to be interesting how it's deployed. You know, I put something up on Barroom Network X account, a bunch of presents beautifully wrapped and stuff. So we got all the presents. Now we got to wait months before we can open up the presents and see how they play along.
Exactly. Yep. But hey, I am happy with what we do have. The one thing I will say is all the guys can play. That's the one thing I will say. They weren't the guys that we were expecting, but if I take a step back and take my feelings out of it because I didn't get anything right this round, all of these guys can play, man. Like Colston Loveland is going to be a damn good tight end. I love the way that he separates from defenders. Like he's too big for DBs, too fast for linebackers, so he's a matchup nightmare. I thought that Luther Burden she should have been a first round pick. That was a steal. I really thought we needed a running back, but that's a steal in this draft. But it's the only thing that concerns me much about the Luther Burden pick is how much we have invested in the wide receiver position. We make DJ Moore the highest paid player on the team ever last year. We draft the guy at 10. And then we draft another guy in the second round this year. So it's just like we're invested so much in the wide receiver position, and we saw how that paid off for us last year. Like we needed that offensive line, we needed that running game to be better. So I just thought that we would have learned from that, and just sometimes you got to pass on a guy, and that even though he is a very talented dude, sometimes you have to pass on the guy and do what's going to be better for the team. And I don't think that we did that.
Well, I'm sure Tucci is going to touch on some of these topics, maybe all of them, in his Bears State of Affairs. Tucci, is your throat ready to orate?
Yeah, before we go, though, I wanted to ask Sammo while we were on his points. He just made a lot of great points.
Yep.
In hindsight, it's becoming more apparent that the draft got away from Ryan Poles, and at 39, they didn't expect Luther Burden to be there. And they said, well, shit, we got to take him. And he's a player that's roughly the same size as DJ Moore. So if they ever wanted to separate from DJ Moore, they have that, waiting, stash him for future seasons. And then the Loveland pick, the more I watch, I like it. The first 2 days, those 4 picks I thought were brilliant. I watched Ozzie, and he rarely ever gets beaten. Can he play left tackle? I think he can. I think he can play it better than the 2 guys that we have currently penciled in at left tackle, in my opinion. But like every player's you've got to earn it. So that's interesting.
I do think that we're going to see immediate dividends from Luther Burden. They're going to create situations where he comes in certain downs and distances, and there's going to be a short pass. The ball won't travel more than 10 yards. It'll get Luther out in the open field, and his gift is that he runs with the ball like a running back, and he's going to break tackles. He's going to escape tacklers. He's going to create tons and tons of yak. And Tucci, more about this. Tucci did a brilliant tutorial on what EPA is, Sammo, what the coach Ben Johnson says that he's most interested in his study of analytics, and Luther Burden was born to be a EPA champ. So that's going to be interesting. I think in his rookie year, he's going to get the ball 50, 60 times.
Great point. You know what we're going to see from Luther Burden, Aldo? The back of his jersey. Right, Sammo?
I like that. that. Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to be
I think that guy's going to be a third round
defensive backfield, right?
Yep.
I love it. Yep. All right, let's get to our favorite part of the show, and that is Tucci's Bears State Affairs. Got a new open, so don't blink.
It's time for John's Bears State of Affairs. He got nothing but true bombs about the Bears. He tells it like it is and always has. And he brings it with a little put sass. No shit talking here, grab yourself a beer. If you have to disagree, he's got a decree. Go fuck your fist, cause you're on his blacklist. Go fuck your fist. You gonna hear the bare truth right now.
Go fuck your fist.
Talk about pressure coming in after that open. Yeah. This is Bears State of Affairs, man. NFL offseason, week 23. What's happening, Barflies? Well, the 2025 NFL draft is over.
He's got nothing but.
Sorry.
I got more. NFL draft is over. Rookie minicamp is over. All that remains is the pressure, Aldo. The pressure to perform, pressure to compete, pressure to live up to enormous expectations. Pressure. Yeah, I have to think it's everywhere at Hallis Hall. Well, with the new coaching staff that includes a first-time head coach installing a brand new offense, a new offensive line looking to cut the number of sacks allowed in half this season, and a crop of rookies who will likely be put into pressure situations at some point this season, and most likely sooner rather than later. As longtime Bears fans, though, the barkeeper and I, we feel the pressure too. Yeah, Aldo and I, we were taking a little ride thanks to Grok. Yeah, we feel that with the Bears, the wheels can come off of this thing any moment. Yeah. I've been having too much fun with Grok, man.
Apparently. That's cool.
The wheels can come off at any time, man. Yeah, pressure, it can affect confidence. It can affect performance. Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, the pressure's on Bears' new head coach, Ben Johnson, man. Look at the coach rankings before the season. He hasn't even been a head coach yet. He's number one in the NFL.
Holy cow.
Yeah, he's 0-0, Aldo, but he's number one, man.
That's unbelievable.
Ooh, yeah, he's unproven as a head coach, but people are already ranking him as the best coach in the NFL. Yeah, the hype is there. He said all the right things. He's assembled possibly the best coaching staff in Bears history. Yeah, that's right. He's put on his meanest face.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking scared right now. You shut up.
He's also vowed to cut off his nuts for a Super Bowl. Aldo, how's that for pressure?
I love it.
Yeah. And then last week, he went and picked a fight with the head coach from the state directly north of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, man. While Bears fans certainly love stoking the rivalry with the Green Bay Packers, that certainly adds pressure.
Yes, it does.
All taken with all. He's still a rookie head coach. Yeah, and everyone is expecting big things from Ben Johnson. That's right, man. But the pressure, you know what? It's on Ryan Poles, too. Yeah, he spent nearly the entirety of this offseason rebuilding the Bears. Yeah, he hired offensive guru Ben Johnson to be the team's next head coach, to revamp the offense and to help develop franchise quarterback Caleb Williams. Yeah, Poles, well, he's rebuilt nearly the entire roster. When he took the Bears GM job, he promised to rebuild the team, to rip it down to the studs and start all over. Yeah, he's rebuilt nearly the entire offensive line. He's given Williams better protection. He spent the first 2 picks of the 2025 NFL draft on explosive offensive weapons. Yeah, I said he's overhauled the entire roster. The only 2 players remaining from the Ryan Pace era are Jalen Johnson and Cole Kmet. It's really Poles' team now. Can the team he's put together compete? Can this team under Poles and Johnson find sustained success? Well, you know what? There's pressure on Kevin Warren, too. Yeah, the Bears' mercurial team president is charged with bringing in the Bears into the 21st century with a world-class state-of-the-art football stadium complex and deliver what Bears ownership loves most. Yeah, although
more money, more money, more money,
more money.
That's what Bears ownership is looking for, my friends. That's right. Building a new state-of-the-art stadium complex, well, that could increase the Bears' franchise value astronomically. That's real pressure. Yeah, that's right. Well, there's even pressure on new Bears culinary consultant Jeff Morrow, the Sandwich King of Chicago.
Whoa!
Yeah. Don't know if you heard this.
No.
Yeah, he's been charged with making the allegedly shitty cuisine at Alice Hall palatable. Yeah. In case you hadn't heard, Aldo, the food at Hallis Hall was ranked in the bottom third of the NFL. So the Sandwich King, well, they gave him a call. Yeah. That's right.
That's pressure.
That's big pressure. You gotta make them sandwiches. That's right. Yeah. You know what? There's also, make no mistake, man, the big time pressure's on Caleb Williams. Yeah, he's a number 1 overall pick in his second season. He has to be a franchise altering player. Every member of the Bears organization is counting on him to be transcendent. From players to coaches to the front office, the back office, the janitor, the secretaries, everyone is counting on him. And the fans, they demand it. No doubt he's feeling the pressure. Yeah, the hype is real. You know, the hype is real. And Caleb, well, you know what? In the offseason, Caleb tried his best to get away from the pressure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Although an Esquire magazine cover shoot wouldn't have been the choice for me, but hey, some folks are just built different, Aldo.
That's true.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure.
That's right. Yeah, the drops are great tonight, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Caleb, he's been given a new offensive line this season. Last year's offensive line, well, it didn't quite work out the way he thought it would, Aldo.
That's right.
One of my favorite pictures from last season. Yeah, he's been given. I know, I love it. He's been given more weapons this offseason. His GM spent his first 2 picks in this year's draft on offensive playmakers, including a giant tight end. Yeah, wow. So Tony Medlin's there for scale reference, Aldo.
Yeah, it's tall, man.
That's really up to Caleb Williams, though, Aldo. It's up to him. He's got to perform. He's got to drive Ben Johnson's offense better than Aldo and Tooch.
Indeed.
That's right. Yeah, the pressure's on, man. Yeah, it's up to him. He's got to perform. The pressure is on each and every Bears player. Can they win? In 4 months, we'll start to find out how this team does under pressure. Winning in the NFL, that's pressure. Winning the Super Bowl, man, that's the ultimate pressure in sports. That's Bears state of affairs.
Yeah, baby.
He told it like it is and always will. Listen next week to get an earful of whatever's happening with the Chicago Bears. It always happens here with John's state of affairs. If you have to disagree, he's got a decree. Go fuck your fist, cause you're on his blacklist. You just heard the bare truth right here and now. John gave it to you straight, cause he's got no sacred cows. If you have to disagree, he's got a decree. Go fuck your fist, cause you're on his blacklist. This was John's Bear State of Affairs.
Oh, nice.
Sammo, do you know how to write lyrics? Because I certainly don't.
I do.
Oh, man.
Yes. Hey, that was amazing, Tooch. And he was on too, man. That was bravo, my friend. That was amazing. Absolutely.
I started to think, you guys, I started to think about just how much pressure must be building up there at Hallis Hall with everything, man, that's going on. You have a new head coach, this great coaching staff. There's possibly a new stadium's on the horizon. The owner of the Bears passed away, and now there's like some, there's going to need funding from partners. And then the rookies are coming in. There's a new offensive line. There's weapons. It's a tough schedule. We also have the one of the toughest schedules next year on paper. Preseason, it's like one of the top 5 toughest schedules. So we'll see how they do. But like Sammo was saying, like cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
Sammo, do you think that this is that we could win and get into the playoffs if Caleb still displays mistakes? And so what I'm trying to say is if we rely on a strong running game and a really good defense, can this team in this division make the playoffs?
I want to say yes, but I think Caleb has to step up in order for us to make the playoffs. We have to have good quarterback play in order for us to make the playoffs with a schedule that has 10 games against playoff teams, 6 of them being division rivals, of course. And then you got 3 French playoff teams in the Bengals, the 49ers, and the Cowboys. Those are 3 teams that are going to be pretty good. And the Browns, we play the Browns this year. They're not going to have a really good quarterback offense, but their defense is stacked. Their defense is going to be loaded, and we've experienced their defense before and how they that defense can just wreck a offensive game plan and win a game. So I don't think that we can win without Caleb, really stepping it up this year. He had the struggles with the deep pass, and that's one of the things that I think really has to, come to fruition right away.
Right away. Hey, Sammo, have you ever met Jeff before?
I haven't. I've watched the show though, Jeff. How's it going?
It's good to finally meet you, Sammo. I appreciate your support on the show, and as always, just want to say real quick to you too, Tooch. As always, State of Affairs is just fantastic.
Thank you.
And real quick, Aldo, I don't know if you know this for sure or not. In your new intro for that show, I noticed there's a part where Tooch is holding up his shirt like this. I think that's when he was on my show.
Oh,
right.
Nice.
I just noticed that. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Barroom pride.
That's right. Yeah.
For those of you who have never met Jeff before, Jeff Willis is the co-host of the Willis Twin Towers podcast on Fridays here at the Barroom Network. He is also Tooch's parole officer, so you just stop by to check in on Tooch. By the way, just another person just stopping by right now. It is none other than Steven Zimmerman. What's happening, brother?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Zim,
man. Where's your hair going, man? It's down past your shoulders.
I'll let you know when it gets there, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I like it, man. Looks good. Your new job allows hair length down to your knees?
Yeah.
It's Iowa.
Gotta tie it back. Gotta tie it back.
Well, we got quite the panel here. 5 passionate Bears fans. Zim, did you have a chance to listen to Tooch's Bear State of Affairs?
I did not, man. I just finished putting the kids to bed. So
go back and do it again. No, I'm kidding.
Exactly. Take 2. I love it. He brought up a number of good points, all under the theme of pressure, that this team is now under pressure because the weapons are there, because the second year quarterback, the head coach and so forth. How would you characterize the pressure that the Chicago Bears are facing in 2025?
It's, to me, more on an individual basis, right? Nobody outside of Chicago expects the Bears to be any good, right? Because they never are. Honestly, they're the Detroit Lions at this point. The way that we think of the Detroit Lions is the NFC North's little brother. Well, that's what the Bears are now. Yeah. So outside of the division, nobody even cares who they are. People think Caleb Williams had a relatively pedestrian rookie season unilaterally across the board. So as far as that goes, there's no pressure on the Bears. Internally, there is enormous pressure on certain people, and it's funny because this happened when I started my new job that I'm at. We had some borrowed people from outside of our regular store there. And I mean, it was maybe my second day there. And the guy looked at me and said, "Man, I don't think you understand how much you have to do well."
Oh boy.
It was like, there's not an option for you not to succeed. There is not an option for you not to do well. If you don't do well, this whole store is going down.
Wow.
And I feel like that's exactly the kind of conversation that happened with Ben Johnson. And, you know, Ryan Poles kind of looked at him and said, like, Ben, you have to succeed. If you don't succeed, no one can succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, to kind of be faced with that reality and for Ben to just kind of hop in the driver's seat and say, yeah, come along for the ride, boys. Let's do this thing. I think the pressure's more on him than anybody else. I don't think Ryan Poles is under that much pressure. Let's be real. We knew last year when they drafted Caleb Williams that this was the situation that exactly was going to happen. Tooch and I have been talking about this for over a year, that when they decided to keep Eberflus last season, it was like, well, looks like Poles is going to get to pick his own head coach next year. All right. No pressure there. He knows where his contract ends. He knows that his contract is now tied to this head coach, and he always has. He always knew that Flus wasn't the guy. I think he had an implicit deal somewhere along the line with the McCaskies that, you know, hey, ride it out with our guy for a little while, do the safe thing. We already saw it happen once with John Fox and Ryan Pace. So why the hell wouldn't they do it again? They never learned from their mistakes. So they did it again. And now we're seeing the fruition of it all. We're seeing where it's all coming from. Caleb Williams is under no pressure. I mean, he is under as little pressure as I've seen a sophomore number 1 pick maybe ever, because people just expect him to do well. I don't think that's pressure. I think that's an expectation, and there's a big difference, right? He's not under pressure. Like, if you don't do well, this team can't win. It's like, no, Caleb, we're setting this up so well that you don't have to do godlike things. You don't have to be above average. If you are above average, that's what takes us from being a competitor to a Super Bowl competitor, right? The way they're trying to build this, at least, is so that it's as idiot proof as possible, so that Matt Eberflus can go out there and get 7 wins.
Yes,
we're in trouble.
They set this up. But you hear what I'm saying? They set this up so that Matt Eberflus could go out there and get 7 wins with this roster. And he found a way to bung that up 3 separate times and finished with 4 wins instead. So, or did they finish with 5? No, well, 1 of those was after he was fired anyway. So it doesn't matter. So that's why I say, like, they idiot proofed this thing already. And now they've got the right coach in place. Like I say, this is a wholly long walk for a short drink of water, but I personally feel that Ben Johnson is under an immense amount of pressure. He's under an immense amount of pressure. And the Bears as a whole, you want to talk about pressure? Well, the pressure to me with the Bears is keeping pressure off of Caleb on the field and putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks.
Jeff, jump in here and tell me what you think about what Zim just said regarding pressure. No pressure on Caleb, but the pressure on the head coach. What do you think of that?
Well, I thought it was interesting what he was saying towards the end there, and I really agree with it. It's kind of interesting the way they put this thing together, because what we saw from Caleb throughout college was the hero ball stuff. You know, the guy who can take over games. He was winning his team games with his arm, you know, getting out of the pocket, making throws on the run, his athletic ability, all those things. That's why he was drafted number 1 overall, because of that talent and that ability. So what we've wanted to see from him, what everybody's talking about him needing to grow on, is his ability to make plays within the pocket, get through his reads more quickly, get through his progressions a little more quickly, see things a little bit better. And to be frank with you, that's why I think I agree with what Steve was saying, is you build this thing to where now he kind of doesn't really have excuses to not grow, which I think he was going to anyways. But you make this to where the offensive line is better, the personnel around is better, the skill is better around him. You give him a better opportunity to make plays. Now, these guys should be able to play more on schedule within the offense, not just Caleb, but the rest of the offense too, because they're doing their jobs better. So to me, he should be able to grow in that regard. And now when it's time to get to the point where you're talking about championship level football, now he can start taking over football games because he's grown in the other aspects of the game to get them there, if that makes sense, if you guys know what I'm saying. So sure. I tend to agree with you, Stephen. I think those are excellent points. And I think Caleb really does have a great opportunity here now to grow on paper with what we've done offensively with the talent around him, and in particular the offensive line, because that was a huge question mark coming into it.
I think that there's still going to be a ton of pressure on Caleb. Listen, he is coming into a new offensive system. He, has all those high expectations about being the number one overall quarterback. It's like I was watching a Detroit podcast when the Bears picked Luther Burden. They were all crying in their soup and stuff. And they were saying, you see what Ben is doing there? You see what Ben is doing there? He's loading up. He's loading up. God damn it. God damn it. And so even the opposing teams' fans are looking at Caleb and have these high expectations, or you want to call it pressure, whatever. And Caleb has to deliver. There were times last year when there were wide open wide receivers and he didn't see them. You could blame it on the pressure, the real pressure of the defensive line, but you could also kind of blame it on he still didn't know the offense real well, still didn't, was panicking a little bit and so forth. And so he's got to prove it to all of us that he can do that, in my opinion. Now, some fans are already believing, but Tucci and I are made out of the same, football jersey here. We've seen too much failure with this organization.
I just want to remind you of one thing, and this is why I say the pressure is more on Ben Johnson than on Caleb. People thought that Jared Goff was a legitimate MVP candidate at certain points last season. Yeah. Jared Goff.
But this is the thing. They took the pressure off of Jared Goff by having a running game. And that's where I think the difference is. And that's why there is pressure on Caleb, because instead of us getting a running game that's similar to what they had in Detroit, that took that pressure off of Jared Goff, we went and got weapons. We got passing weapons, so that puts a little bit of pressure on Caleb to get the ball to those weapons. Now we don't have the same running backs that they had in Detroit. We don't have a Gibbs. We don't have a Monty. We have some decent guys, and our defense isn't as good. We don't have that stud pass rusher that they've had as well. That's how you take the pressure off a quarterback, playing great defense. And a great running game takes the pressure off a quarterback. And I think that's where we failed in building this thing out. We had the opportunity to this draft and this offseason, but that's where I think that we failed Caleb a little bit and put a little bit more pressure on him than I think we had.
Sammo made some great points there.
I completely understand where you're coming from, but I think part of the reason for all that is because the Bears don't know what they have in some of those areas. Matt Eberflus has never developed a pass rusher in his defensive career. He has never, period. He's created stout defensive systems. He's created some great linebackers and cornerbacks, but he has never developed a pass rush. So I'm inclined to say we don't really know if they have a star pass rusher or not. Sure. Montez Sweat is supposed to be that guy, and he looked like he could be after the Bears acquired him mid-season a couple of years ago. So we'll see if a new system changes things a little bit. And in addition to that, I feel the same way about the running game. The offensive line was so bad. I mean, how do we honestly know if DeAndre Swift is or is not the guy when we saw what he was running behind last year? It's frustrating that he couldn't hit his running lanes, but how much of that is because the lanes weren't where they were supposed to be, because protection broke down, because a guy can't not get pushed 3 yards off the line of scrimmage within 2 seconds,
Two quick points. Number one, let's remember what happened to DeAndre in the first half of last season. He was being criticized for not hitting the hole and taking it outside all the time. It wasn't until he publicly talked about it, says, I need to do better. I need to, they're telling me if there's this much of a hole there, go through it. And once he started doing that, he started to play better. And then the other thing, I hate to do this, but I need to come to Jared Goff's defense here, because what Jared Goff does is what Ben Johnson and Sean McVay, those kind of coaches, want out of their quarterback. They throw on time. 3-step back, plant, throw. 5-step back. That's what. And so now Ben has to learn how to deal with an athletic quarterback who will be prone to maybe get off his first read if there's any pressure. He needs to instill confidence in him. Take the hit, because for 99% of the time, your new offensive line is going to come through for you. And so that's the big challenge there for Ben Johnson and the quarterback's coach and the offensive line coach, and, of course, the players.
It's a great point, Aldo, and I'm glad you mentioned Sean McVay, because I was surprised that he didn't take Shedeur Sanders in the draft, because I think that quarterback fits his system perfectly. The master of the short passing game. You know, I would even comp Shedeur to a more athletic Jared Goff. You know, with the accuracy and he just slid. You know, I think the Browns got a steal.
To make a short exposition off of that, the Rams now have a top 5 pick potentially next year to go get Sean McVay a quarterback. Oh man, the NFC might get a whole lot harder next year.
Can you imagine Manning's now playing
with
the Rams?
Oh man,
yeah.
You know, before I forget, because I'm old, Sammo mentioned the running game, the Bears' running game, and looking in hindsight, it's a shame that they missed out on some players that they wanted to draft for Ben Johnson's running game, and that's a part of the part that worries Aldo and Sammo and myself, is that, you know, we didn't get a premier running back, and that leads to my next question. Is there's a lot of talk of Bears signing a free agent running back. There's been Nick Chubb and J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Walker. All these names are being floated about. Anybody want any of these guys, or do you think the Bears will say we need another guy, you know, just to sort of pound this running game and help and take, even like Zim said, take even more pressure off of Caleb Williams?
Go ahead, fellas, because I've been espousing my opinion now. I'm tired of hearing myself.
I would hate to do it. Go ahead. I
was going to say, I feel like one of two things could happen here. You look at the free agent running backs that are available right now. It's like none of them exactly knock your socks off. You know, it's like, none of them are like they all have their issues, and most of them are all injury related. So do you really want Nick Chubb coming off of 2 major knee injuries in his career? Yeah, he's squatting a lot, but does that mean that he's going to have the explosive ability that he had in his past? Probably not. Or at least the risk is at least there enough to where, is it worth signing? Because if you're going to sign a guy like Nick Chubb, you're probably going to have to give him some decent guarantees. And they're already having issues with their salary cap space right now because of the moves they've made recently. So you got to consider that. You also have to consider the fact that, like you guys talked about before just now, you know, last year, the offensive line was not that great. We had some issues all over the place, whether it be communication, injuries, guys who just not playing well. There were issues all over the place. So, and again, you said the same thing. Another thing you said, Aldo, about DeAndre Swift and not hitting the hole, you know, not pressing. They were talking about him pressing the hole before he decided to make that cut. And he did look better after week 4 when he started doing that. So again, though, if that improves and you have that going on for you, and you just did add another running back who I think is a little underrated here. I think if in another draft, if it wasn't such a deep draft like it was this year at the running back position, he probably goes a hell of a lot higher than round 7. I mean, I think he's going to be a decent part of this offense, you know, especially considering the fact that Roshan hasn't been able to stay healthy through a full season in his career yet. So I think Monangai is going to very early carve himself out a niche on third down because of his pass blocking ability. And if he can catch the ball, if he can show an ability to catch the ball reliably on third down, I think he's going to be a guy that gets consideration there. So I don't hate the room right now the way it is what the point I'm trying to make. Would I have liked to see him draft running back? Yeah. I was pissed off when Travion Henderson went 38th to New England. I was freaking out. Man. But you can ask my brother. I was having a
heartbreaker, right?
That broke the draft. It broke the draft for Poles and Johnson. Yes. It broke it right there. Broke it.
Yeah, I get it. And I think they, like Greg said in his show multiple times, like they took their sweet time making that next pick, probably because they were like, damn it, they got our guy. Now we got to regroup, and they took Burden. So would they have taken Burden at 41 after that? Maybe. Do they move down still for 41? I don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing I consider there, but that's not here nor there. The point of the thing is of course, what I'd like to see them draft a running back earlier. Sure. I think Monangai is going to be a nice piece, though. I don't think they have to go get a guy. And we also have to consider the fact there's going to be post-June 1st cuts coming up here throughout camp and after OTAs and stuff that maybe they pick up a guy then. So, but I do think they're going to want to see what they have in camp.
Yeah, all great points. And you're absolutely right about the free agent market. Is just, there's nobody in the free agent market I would take. Is because of the injuries with Chubb, of course, and then some of the other guys are a little long in the tooth. It means they're old for all the youngins out there who's watching. But I will say the one guy that does kind of intrigue me is Kenneth Walker III. I think that he had a great rookie season. He's dealt with a lot of soft tissue injuries, which aren't major concerns. You know, those are more like, you know, you need to eat better and you need to hydrate. You know, those are fixable. Those are things that we can help him out with just by making him a better pro. The guy runs a 4.36 and he's only 24 years old. So he'll be 25 at some point in the season. So if we can get him for a 6th round pick, like I think that's a good addition to a room that I really like Manan guy. I really like Swift. And, you know, Roschon Johnson, I'm a little down on Roschon, but having those 3 guys together, I think that's a strong room because we do need that a legitimate threat as a running back where teams are going to have to, you know, come and stack the box in order for Caleb to be a little bit successful. Otherwise, teams are just going to, what they say, make him play quarterback. And do we want to see that? Because he has struggled to play on time and in college and in the pros. So until he, you know, develops that confidence in himself and playing under center and playing on time in the new system, I think that running game, having legitimate threats in the backfield will you know, take some of the pressure off of him and you know give the Bears a better opportunity to win some games early on in the season.
Listen, you know, how I feel about this is why not? If they can afford one of these veterans, just go back as far as, what was it, 2-3 seasons ago when we had Deontay Foreman on the roster. He didn't even dress the first 2 or 3 games. But when injuries happened, he came in and he got the job done. Remember that game we scored 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 1 passing, or maybe it was 2 touchdowns, 1 each. Whatever, we could use a guy, even if you bring in one of these veterans and he's only suited up for 6-7 games. But he gives you in those 6-7 games a touchdown, big first downs, you know, saves wear and tear on the other starting running backs. Whatever it is, I don't, because we don't have a Saquon, because we don't have an Ashton Genty, because we don't have that one feature back that we can really rely on. We're playing this with a committee of guys. I wouldn't mind adding one more guy to the committee. And if he doesn't dress for half the season, I'm not going to say that was a waste, because I want to see, you know, how it plays out throughout the season. Maybe he adds value just like Foreman did that season. And so I'm not at all super confident with Manan guy. I think he could potentially be really, really good with Roschon Johnson and DeAndre Swift. Those are guys you don't take to the bank and the bank manager says, you want a loan? That's great collateral. I'll give you whatever you want. No, ain't gonna happen with those guys. Sorry.
I'm just not
one more thing
interrupting, Jordy. I'm not interrupting tonight.
I guess I'll do it for you just for this moment, Tooch. But after this, I'm gonna shut up for that. But anyways, I just want to say, I think although I see what you're saying, I think it all just depends on the guarantees is the biggest thing. And we can't forget about Ian Wheeler either. If he comes back healthy from the ACL, that dude is faster than shit. So I'd be interested to see what he can do.
Yeah. And, you know, and I think that Post is probably right to wait until he sees these guys at the very least at OTAs and see how they're running and stuff. It could, you know, really help his confidence to go with the guys that we've got now. But you know, just having lived through this before, I say get some insurance. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Can I just say that like half of our running back room is coming off injury?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Wheeler, Roschon, Travis Homer, you know, all those guys are coming off injury. So I mean, they're just as much a gamble as a Nick Chubb. And imagine if we took a chance on Nick Chubb. We got a guy that was close to pre-injury Chubb.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Mm-hmm. That would be worth, you know, a little. It does, like Cliffy said, does cost nothing to bring him in.
Yep,
you know?
Exactly.
But there's going to be some June 1st cuts that I think Poles would be wise to add, like Waldo said, another veteran to the room.
You know, somebody mentioned something about Luther. Oh, there it is. Ralph Love said Luther Burden could be a blessing for the Bears. Totally effing agree. This guy, if he is like Chris Collinsworth said in the opening video, if he is like Debo, we can put him in that running back. He can create great things out of that running back position. If he's going to come into the Chicago Bears organization and touch the ball 12 to 15 times, and he's going to be breaking tackles and so forth, all of a sudden, then the fact that we don't have an A-plus running attack is mollified by the fact that we've got a game-breaking guy, Luther Burden. I've been praying. Give me another Tariq. Give me another fast back, please. Now we got a guy like that, although he's a slot player.
The Debo comparison is so good because think of that Niners offense, right? Even look at how much they've had to work around Christian McCaffrey because of injuries and before he was even there. And they're turning guys like Isaac Guerrero into fantasy stars because it just doesn't matter who you plug in when you have that many guys on the field and a decent blocking offensive line. I mean, granted, I'm pretty sure they have at least one Hall of Famer on that offensive line. But my point being, if you have a good enough line in front of the guys, you have enough weapons elsewhere, and you start using a guy like a Debo Samuel, like what we hope Luther Burden will be, like what they thought Velus Jones could be. Exactly. All of a sudden, this thing starts to look a whole lot better. And it's part of the reason I'm not as concerned about running back. It's part of the reason I kind of am just like, can we hurry up and get to the damn season already? I don't think they need to do anything other than practice at this point. That's the way my mind is about this team, at least, because it's just like you start addressing too many needs and all of a sudden you've got an entirely different roster than you had last year. And none of these guys know each other and none of these guys gel together. And, you know, maybe having Swift behind him does a lot more for Caleb's peace of mind than anything else, considering he lost his favorite target from last year. He's working with a new center exchange this year. He's got a new guard calling out protections this year, assuming that Dahlman isn't the guy calling out protections. It's just, and his new starting tight end is presumably going to be different at some point during the first 8 games of the season, you know, just based on what the current narrative says. Who knows what's actually going to happen at the tight end position. But again, that's just a whole other thing he's got to worry about. So maybe having DJ Moore right there and having DeAndre Swift right there is a good thing for right now, you know?
I think, you know, Cole Kmet is going to have a lot of games where he's going to have more snaps than Colston Loveland, but Colston Loveland is going to have more touches.
Yep.
You know, he's going to see a lot of balls thrown his way, and Cole's targets are going to decrease, probably a career low since his rookie season.
I think we're going to see something in the NFL that we haven't seen since Aaron Hernandez decided to go off. You know, like I really think we're about to see something that we haven't seen in a long time.
You mean killing
that
people?
would be nice.
Well, these two kids seem a little more clean cut than that.
I hope so. Let's hope so.
I think so. As far as I know, there's no gangs, and where is
one is
Kemet
suburban and one moved up in Idaho. So yeah, I think we're safe. I think we're safe for these two guys.
Exactly.
But you guys are right. And I think King Booker hit it on the head right there. That's what I was gonna say. Kmet will have more red zone targets, I think, because he's the bigger guy, can body you up, jump balls. But I think Loveland will have more yards in the field because I think he's going to be a third down nightmare for teams. Him and Luther Burden.
I'm not tall enough.
Like those two guys are going to be legit threats on third downs, and I think it opens up a lot and makes it a lot easier for our quarterback there. And the other thing I was going to say is maybe fourth down as well, because we don't know how aggressive our coach is going to be.
So let me ask the broad question. You guys jump in. So he's got all the offensive weapons, he being Caleb. So Is there more pressure on Caleb or is there more pressure on Ben Johnson to utilize those weapons effectively? Or is it a shared amount of pressure? What do you guys think?
This is why I say it's on Ben Johnson. It's up to him to put the aces in places at this point, man. It's up to him to be the chess master now. You know, let's be real. If Caleb doesn't succeed, like, I don't feel like it's a Caleb problem if he doesn't succeed, because again, Jared Goff could succeed. Jeff Driscoll could succeed, you know, like these are guys that, I mean,
that's why I think it's less pressure on Ben, because he's proven that he could do it with less talent.
Which guy would be here? Which guy would be here longer if one doesn't work? You know, if Caleb doesn't work out, Ben Johnson's still here.
Yeah,
because another quarterback could fill that system.
That's
what
I think
Sammo's
that
doing,
all
right?
depends. I think I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think it all depends. I think you got to consider the fact that he was brought in. Part of the sole purpose of him being brought here was to mold Caleb Williams into a championship level quarterback. So if he fails on that front, it's going to look bad on Ben Johnson. And I don't think he's safe by any stretch if Caleb Williams is a failure. That being said, I think it's both. I think it's both. And I think King Bookworld said that too. I think both, Aldo. I think in the beginning, it's more on Johnson, because he has to show that can he work with these weapons that he's got, not the ones that he learned from in Detroit for 3-4 years that he had there. Can he work with these new weapons and these new guys he's got now and make it all work symmetrically and have chemistry and find an identity early on? And then once they start to do that, then I think it's more on Caleb. Like, can you make it work with what the offensively we're doing here, with what we have, the running game going well and stuff like that? So it's both, though. They both have to show.
It's interesting. I mean, he's one with Jared Goff.
Right.
Yes.
We have to keep reiterating that point because it's Jared Goff. Like, it's Jared Goff.
Jared Goff right now, and I know that who was it? The guy who the longtime media Bears beat reporter Hub Arkish said this last year. He got bombed, and I will get bombed too. But the truth of the matter is that Jared Goff right now is a much more accomplished quarterback than our quarterback, Caleb Williams. It's true. He knows how to read defenses. He knows how to, he doesn't have the guts of Caleb Williams. He doesn't have the athletic capability he doesn't have the arm strength. All of those factors belong to Caleb, and they're under lock and key. But what right now, at least, Goff has over Caleb is the knowledge of picking up a system and executing it to the T. He's proven that he can, and the only way to stop him is to fuck him up, hit him in the face, hit him in the shamar, kick him in the nuts.
I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying I don't have faith in Johnson, because I think he's, like I said, there's a reason they brought this guy in. I think that, he's going to be very successful, and I think he can obviously work with the weapons they have, but you still have to see it. You know what I mean? It's got to be done.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, I do think, like King Bookworld said, they both have to show it. I think it's going to start with Johnson, work its way more towards Caleb as the season goes along. But I think it's going to all work in symmetry together. And eventually, at the end of the day, they have to work well together for it to work.
Yeah, I agree.
And just as a reminder for anybody who thinks I'm being too hard on Jared Goff, he has thrown more interceptions at Soldier Field than Caleb Williams has. So.
Oh, I saw you on the computer confirming that. Well done.
I will say, I'm sorry, whoever I just cut off. I will say he does have issues with pressure, and he always has, whereas Caleb Williams has shown an ability to evade pressure, make plays, even though he got sacked a shitload of times last year.
Yeah.
He still can make those plays where Jared Goff cannot.
But there's hardly 32 men who can play the position of quarterback in the world.
Yeah,
right.
Jared Goff is in the top of the 32, 16.
Yes, he is definitely
he's an upper half quarterback of a position that very few people on the planet can play. This is why I think there's more pressure on Caleb Williams. One is he's younger than Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson has the experience, the wisdom of age, and Caleb Williams is a kid. And he's playing the hardest position in all of sports to play. And that's quarterback. So I mean, it comes with a lot of pressure to perform. And now he's got to learn a brand new offense. And the kid is cool, man. He's money in the fourth quarter. You never feel like you're out of a game with Caleb, in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, while there's optimism, it's cautious optimism, like we've been saying for this whole show.
And I think it's about the discipline, man, too, man. I think that's the one thing that Aldo didn't mention was the discipline that Jared Goff has to not, force the ball downfield just because he thinks that he can. If he'll take this short route and just, live to get another first down and then, matriculate the ball downfield as opposed to just trying to go for the gusto. Like that takes a lot of discipline, especially when you have the talent that Caleb Williams has. And I think we don't want to take it away from him, but we do want to kind of harness it a little bit and, tell him when to use it and how to use it in what situations. And I think that's where Jared Goff succeeds, where, I think most quarterbacks fail in the NFL. Like he knows he plays within himself and, he stays disciplined and he's just, man, he's been money for the past couple years. Like we talk bad about him. Like he sucks against the Bears all the time. but the guy is, man, he's been solid for the Bears. It'll be interesting to see what Goff is without Ben Johnson too. Because I do think
that's
they're going to
just
take
it.
a step back.
Because you say he's been good for the last couple of years, but you'd say maybe roughly the last 3 years, since Ben Johnson has been there. Maybe this discipline was not learned but taught. You know what I mean?
Yes,
or and that's all I'm trying to point the finger at with all this is that it's on Ben Johnson to put this together. We all know that Caleb Johnson wound up on some other team. I don't even know who. He's on the Steelers. Good for him.
Round
him.
2 fantasy pick.
Holy cow. That whole situation is going to be a thing this year, isn't it?
Right.
But
the play that Caleb, I don't know if Aldo has this somewhere, but there's a play during the Vikings game where Caleb Williams, it's probably the most famous play of his career so far, where he's rolling to his right, and he drops this like teardrop into Rome Odunze between two defenders while he's falling out of bounds and drops it in there along the sideline. That's what we're waiting to see from Caleb Johnson that will place him in the upper echelon of NFL quarterbacks above Jared Goff, Zim.
Right. And that's just it. So, and I mean, for anybody saying, I'm sorry, it just feels so ignorant to me to say that he hasn't proven anything so far. Like the kid's a Heisman winner. He's broken every rookie record that the Bears have. And you all say, oh, it's not that impressive. It's just the Bears rookie records. Well, no one else did it. No one else did it. They've selected 3 quarterbacks in the top 11 picks over the last 8 years. All right. None of them did it until him.
If you just looked at his numbers, his statistics from the outside looking in, like after the season, you did not know anything about the way he played on the field. You'd look at his numbers and say, yeah, he had a pretty good year last year, didn't he?
Yep.
But because of the fact that we saw what we saw on the field, there's obviously some question marks.
That's
so I
it.
do agree with Steven. I mean, he had a good year.
It's got to be the quietest 3,500 year. It's got to be the quietest 3,500 yard season I've ever seen from a Bears quarterback. We would have been celebrating Jay Cutler for that. In fact, Jay Cutler did that, and they gave Adam Gase a head coaching job for it. So I just
look at that throw.
Yeah, I mean, ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Oh, hey, who do you throw that to? The guy y'all want to replace.
I like Swift.
It was Swift. Okay, I thought it was threw it to Odunze.
No, the
he
is
did
a
one to
different one. The Odunze one got called back from penalty.
Yeah, that's right.
I believe it was the same game though.
Just an
great
amazing
throw.
That's just a dynamic throw.
Looking forward to seeing more of that.
I mean, quiet 3,500 yards, but this was his coach.
That fucker.
And Shane Walsh was his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, the entire team suffered from incompetent coaching, man. We haven't developed any players that we drafted, man, on the offensive line, defensive line, everywhere except the secondary. You know, we got some guys in the secondary who developed into some really good players, but outside of that, like we haven't been developing players, and it's been largely in part to incompetent coaching, not just from the top, but all around. And it's just a breath of fresh air now that we have all these great coaches at positions and at coordinators. So I'm looking forward to seeing a lot better from a lot of these players that we haven't seen really develop over the past few years. So
let me ask this question of the group here. we all know that in order to have a team that's going to have sustainable success, get into the playoffs every year, contend for a Super Bowl every year, is to have great ability, great depth at the trench positions. So where are the Chicago Bears right now in terms of quality trenches, offensive line and defensive line? Let's go clockwise. Jeff, you start first.
Well, they're in a hell of a lot better position now than they were last year. I can say that much with certainty and confidence, at least on paper. But I mean, even on paper, I still think they're going to walk into this situation going into the season much better than they were last year. So even without seeing it happen, I'm pretty confident that's going to be the case. But offensive line depth, I feel much, much, much better about. I still have my questions about the edge position. Signing Odangbo was a nice signing. I think, I mean, in free agency, you always overpay a little bit. So I see why that happened. I was a little surprised they didn't try to draft an edge somewhere in there. There were some guys available. Greg mentioned he thought they missed out on Swinson. I think it was in the 4th round. So that one I could see maybe being a miss there if they had. Maybe they were looking for an edge there, just the way the board fell. But again, I feel like there's still kind of a question mark there. What are you going to get out of Austin Booker? Is he a fit for this defense? Does he have enough weight to play this position for Dennis Allen? Which I don't know if that's really a question or not, but that is kind of a narrative that surrounds Dennis Allen, at least always has. So we'll see with him. I do think we're going to see some versatility with some of the other guys, like Shamar Turner, for instance. I think we will see him get some cracks at the edge. I think he'll get moved around a little bit, especially on 3rd downs. It just depends. I think it's in a good spot right now. Injuries will possibly play a factor, especially at the edge position. If we have some significant ones like Montez Sweat, if he goes down, that's a real problem to me. But other than that, like I said, I feel a lot better about the offensive line, especially the depth on the interior. I feel like there's some good guys there now. I think Ryan Bates maybe have finally played his last downs with the Bears. We'll have to wait and see. I know Ryan Poles loves him, but I just, he hasn't been effective since he has been with the team, and he hasn't been healthy either. So I don't see him making it, especially with, like I said, the new depth there, and there's some nice pieces that they add. I like the 6th round pick, Luke Newman, a lot. So I think it's a lot better than it was last year, but it's not a done deal by any stretch. There are still some questions on offensive tackle and edge, I think. So
J2K says, I still think that Poles should get more credit for this offseason being so good. He got trashed by everyone at the end of the season and seems to not get the praise for how awesome he's been lately. The thing is, let's remember at the beginning of last season, he was getting praise. People were sucking his dick, people who came from organizations about
the wheels
exactly.
The wheels are coming off. All the
people came in from that were profiling him as a top executive. He's changed the Chicago Bears organization, and they get off to a terrible start. And those people, I think they took the video off of YouTube. I'm just kidding, but and so that's why I think we're a little bit hesitant to praise credit, because we want to see it first. But certainly he had great with the Ben Johnson hiring.
Before last season, they were on Hard Knocks. They glazed us. They fucking glazed us.
Well put, bro. Well put. Well, Zim, what do you think about the trenches with this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little nervous about the offensive line more than anything, but at the same time, they added an All-Pro, a Pro Bowler, and one of the best collegiate centers maybe ever. So I gotta say, they did a pretty good job, all things considered. And Ozzie Newsome is just kind of the cherry onto Ozzie Newsome. Ozzie Trapillo, excuse me. Ozzie Newsome, hell of a tight end.
But it was one of the best.
But Ozzie Trapillo, they add as a potential swing tackle, maybe even a left tackle replacement for Braxton Jones, depending on how he heals up. Also, I love this take from Booker from the Hippolyte will convert to safety. I was thinking the same exact thing when they drafted him. I was like, man, this is a honey badger type player, that kind of box safety linebacker nickel kind of guy that you bring in for a heavy nickel package. When Kyler Gordon's a little too small to get the job done, you put Hippolyte on the field,
Great idea.
At any rate, sorry, saw that and just wanted to throw out there. Had the same thought, love the line of thinking, would love to see it. He's fast enough to do it.
He's 5'11", 220.
Yeah, he's big enough to do it. He's big enough.
Perfect size.
Right. So at any rate, back to the trenches. Offensive line, again, I think they did enough, right? They did enough for one season that it's at least like improved, and you're kind of relying on Joe Thuney to still be the guy that we've seen in New England and Kansas City. 32, he's at that age where injuries can start to pile up for offensive linemen. It doesn't mean they will. It just means that he's more likely to, right? But Dahlman, Jonah Jackson, I think those were both good pickups, especially considering they were relatively cheap pickups, all things considered. I mean, Dahlman, yeah, it's a big contract, but that's just what offensive linemen cost these days. So
absolutely,
I get that one. As far as defensive line, everybody seems concerned about it, and I just don't get why. And maybe it's because I'm an optimistic homer, but I mean, they've got 13 guys under contract right now, including future Hall of Famer Grady Jarrett, including Montez Sweat, who everybody loved until 4 games into last season because, he didn't have any fucking help. So,
he was hurt. He was banged up too.
He's banged up. He doesn't have any help. What do you expect from the guy? They've got Daniel Hardy, who is
a sack or two.
Right. You've got Daniel Hardy, who was good for a couple sacks last year. You've got Dominique Robinson, who's probably going to be cut finally. For that guy to finally be at the end of the roster, they're moving upwards. Chris Williams, who came in after the Andrew Billings injury and actually cleaned up. I think he wound up with 2.5 sacks or a sack and a half last year. And that's right. Andrew Billings is going to be healthy. A guy who single-handedly improved that entire unit for the first half of that season. And now you're adding younger guys with Shamar Turner out of the draft, who, I mean, he's probably a little bit of a gamble. He's definitely a rotational player. You've got Austin Booker, who everybody was high on last year, and now it's like, oh, he's going to be the guy. No, he's not. They went out and spent $16 million a year on their new Leonard Floyd, Dayo Odengbo, who I don't understand why everybody's sleeping on this guy. He has every trait in the world. If this was the draft and you went out and got Dayo Odengbo, everybody would be like, holy shit, have you seen this guy?
Yep.
But because he came from Indianapolis, everybody's like, oh, he's no good. Yeah, because the Colts were so good last year, right? Like, come on. You play in a shitty system, you're going to be a shitty player. We've kind of been watching that for the last 15 years. So I don't get it. Everybody's like, oh, of course, he's good when he's not on the Bears. Well, now it's, of course, he's good when he's not on the Colts. Like, I don't understand why people are sleeping on this guy. They clearly saw something in him. They clearly believe in him enough to sign him to a contract that's effectively a 3-year guarantee. This guy's not going to be riding the bench at $16 million a year. I'm sorry if you guys want more edge depth, but you got edge depth. You just don't like the edge depth you got. Sorry, guys. Like, I'm sorry that you got chocolate birthday cake when you wanted vanilla, but Jesus Christ, you got a birthday cake. Be happy.
I want chocolate and vanilla.
Oh, I like the player, and I like the upside there. I think they obviously saw something in his Indianapolis tape to say, hey, we can do something with this guy. And he was pretty good there, too. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Indy sucks, so everybody's going to say he sucks because that's where he came from. And Eberflus is from there, so we obviously have that residual, I don't know what the word is, but some hatred there, disdain, I guess. So I just feel like, yeah, he's a guy with some upside. I think he's a nice piece. I think they can work with him. And yet you're right, $60 million a year, he's gonna play. So the idea is, we hope that he's gonna be a nice upgrade and an impactful piece.
I just want to ask, like, what free agents has Poles really missed on? Like, and I mean truly whiffed. I mean guys that like.
How much time you got?
Well, I'm just saying.
He's whiffed on. I'm kind of confused.
But big name guys that he's really whiffed on.
Chase Claypool, Nate Davis.
Chase Claypool and Trey. I think Nate Davis is about the only one.
Nate Davis was a huge whiff. Yeah.
But Nate Davis was also a pretty manageable contract that had an exit after 2 years.
Larry Ogunjobi.
Larry Ogunjobi never signed to the Bears.
I'm just saying these are
never signed to the Bears.
That was the beginning of the whiffs. That was the beginning of the whiffs.
Yeah.
No, you guys, I think you guys made great points though, man, about the offensive line and defensive line. I think the offensive line is pretty solid. I think he did a great job of, especially before the draft even began, solidifying the middle of the offensive line with veteran players at that. I think that was important to me too. You don't want rookies trying to protect your quarterback all on the offensive line. I saw a lot of mock drafts and people were saying, let's draft all offensive linemen. I was like, that's a terrible idea because those guys have to be developed. We haven't developed an offensive lineman in
20, 30 years.
No, they developed Kyle Long a little bit.
Kyle Long. Yep, since Kyle
That's probably
Long.
the last one.
You're right. That's the last one.
It's been 15 years already, Jesus.
About 15. So yeah, we're getting about 15. Yeah, I was a little older. But
you could make the argument that they also fucked Kyle Long,
yes, they did.
because the right guard, right tackle, left tackle, boom, boom, bang, bang, bang. He got so fucking pissed off, he almost killed one of his own teammates with the way the team was treating him. So I wouldn't credit the Bears coaches too much for Kyle Long being a dynamite player. He was gifted guy. But anyway, I apologize for interrupting.
No worries. So it's your show. You the pod. That's why you're the pod father. That's a great point.
What do you think about the trenches then?
Right. Yeah. So we still got this big one more thing about it though.
Sure.
Before we go to Tooch. So we got the offensive line, I think, solid. I like the addition of Ozzie, who could probably play left tackle. I think he's phenomenal as a technician. Like, the guy's technically sound. So I really think that he's going to be a starter on this team, either at right or left. If they decide to move guys around, we'll see. So I really think the offensive line is solid. But the defensive line, I think there is some questioning. The reason I think some people have some question about it, because we just watched the Super Bowl where we saw the Philadelphia Eagles have this wave of defensive linemen and all these guys who are great pass rushers, who are creating havoc, and that just got them not only to the Super Bowl, but they won the Super Bowl against a guy who's arguably the best quarterback ever, who's going to probably end his career as arguably the best quarterback ever. And it made that offensive line and one of the best offensive coaches ever as well. And Andy Reid, he made that defensive line, made them look silly, and we want that. That's all I think it is we want that. We just want a wave of defensive linemen. I love Austin Booker. I really feel like he's going to develop into a stud pass rusher this year. I can see him having 8 sacks or better. I love Odengbo just as much as you do, and I love his versatility, the fact that he can kick inside and wreak havoc as well. But the only thing about it is, if Sweat does go down, that really hurts us, because that's the star on the offense, on the defensive line, and that guy, we know we're looking for him to get double-digit sacks. If he gets hurt, then I think then we're looking to blitz a lot more, and because we just don't have the guys, the bodies, or the guys who are the proven guys on the roster right now.
Tooch, what do you think?
There's a lot to unpack. As far as the offensive line, I think, and Aldo and I were talking in the private chat about last week. We did our Poles draft grades, and I graded Poles pretty highly, and in the past I've criticized Poles harshly, because in 3 or 4 drafts he's drafted 2 punters. Come on, nobody can't do that. Okay, one of Tuch's rules.
Seasons.
One of Tuch's rules. The offensive line, I love the pick of Ozzie Trapillo, because the more I watch him, Roy Ill 79 had a great post on. I'm getting bored of watching Ozzie Trapillo stonewall everybody. On college tape.
That was good.
And it's true, because I think the Bears were in a position, and this is a guy that they targeted because of the Boston College connection, and his father played for the Saints. This is a guy that they targeted because Braxton Jones is in the last year of his contract. The Bears are not going to pay him $20 million a year. And I think Ozzie Trapillo, he anchors a hell of a lot better than Braxton Jones.
Hell yeah, he does.
Already.
So
hell yeah, he does.
I think I would place Ozzie above Braxton Jones. Now, Karan Amagaji, we don't know what we had. I went back and watched the Commanders game. There was a few stuff I liked of Amagaji, but I think if there was a left tackle competition, I'm not so sure Ozzie Trapillo wouldn't win. He's just so damn big for guys to get around. And when they get into his chest, they're not getting. He's not letting you go. He gets into a great power position. I love for a 6'8" guy, he bends just fine. And then on the defensive end, if Odengbo didn't suffer an Achilles injury before the draft at Vanderbilt, there's a great chance that he goes in the first round. So you're talking about a guy who's young and was a potential first round pick. He's an animal. he and Shamar Turner are nasties.
Yep.
You know, I hope that we're instilling some nasty in that defensive line side of our trenches. And then you've got Montez Sweat, who's he might be dropping down in the pecking order of best players on that defensive line now. We've got Grady Jarrett as well, who's going to add pressure up the middle. I love that pickup. So Poles in his 4th year, he's warmed up. You know, he's not a rookie GM anymore, and I graded his draft pretty highly. I think those first 4 picks were phenomenal. Totally fine with all 4 of those picks. They ran into a stumbling block when the Patriots picked Travion Henderson 1 pick before him. After that, I think their plan was to draft Travion and then Luther Burden, you know, and then they would have had the tight end, the running back, and the wide receiver, that triumvirate that you needed. Nice. But it wasn't to be, you know. And then after that, he didn't seem to be interested. I thought they could have picked DJ Giddens and been a fine trio of players. I like Monunga. I think that little son of a gun is tough. Yeah, man, he's like Tariq Cohen, but like twice as tough. You know, like he's almost a mini Ash Genty. You know, he's like a bowling ball. He breaks a lot of tackles.
And he's the only one in the draft outside of Travion Henderson that offers anywhere near the kind of pass protection that he offers in the game. So
he will punch you in pass protection. Yes. He ain't afraid of nothing.
Yeah. So one of the things that I keep thinking about when I've pondered this question of have the Bears turned the corner, and one of the things that concerns me is that there aren't a lot of sure things. There are sure things like a Grady Jarrett was a sure thing 2-3 years ago. Now he's going to be with the Bears. Is he really a sure thing? He's going to be a sure thing in terms of his attitude and stuff, but can he still play the defensive tackle position like he did at his height with Atlanta? The same thing with Jonah Jackson, the right guard. Is he really a sure? There I am against the read for my life.
Grady Jarrett, the wheels coming off already.
I'm just naturally pessimistic because I
totally agree.
I've allowed myself, you know, I was on Shorty's show 2 years ago and I predicted a 17-0 record, some shit like that. And he never lets me forget about it. He puts out
it's 17.
Yeah. So I'm taking a different approach, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, and they will be 17-0. That would be nice. But I just think that, you know, when you're putting a new team together and so much of the nucleus are new pieces, guys, like somebody said earlier in the show, guys playing together for the first time, a young quarterback and so forth, those things take a while. Maybe depending on how the schedule looks, maybe they're going to get off to a slow start, and as the season progresses, they'll make a late run for the playoffs. But I don't see instant success. Greg Gabriel talked about, I wish we could play some weak team in week 1. I don't know. I would like to get a road game out of the way against a tough team. You're 0-1. Now come home and show us your stuff. I don't know. I'm rambling, but
Aldo, did you see that today on X? There was a thing because the schedule is going to be announced soon, and it was like a flashing all the teams that the Bears have in their schedule. Like, which team will the Bears play in week 1? If you press it, it stops on a team.
Oh, that's cool. You know? I didn't see that. No,
I stopped on the Eagles.
Oh shit!
I'm like, no, don't even speak that into existence.
Yeah,
I have a feeling that's what's coming.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's going to be the Lions in Detroit. Can you imagine week 1, Ben Johnson in Detroit?
Yeah. Talk about pressure. Pressure, though. That's pressure.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly.
Yeah,
I definitely think it's one of those 3. I think it's either Philly, Green Bay, or Detroit. It's going to be one of those 3 because I mean, there's a storyline with all 3 of those. So I can see it.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure.
Can you say 17-0 again?
No, I'm not going to do it.
Come on.
Okay. I get it. Yeah, for that graphic, I'll definitely 17-0. That would be so sweet. I just want us to be a powerhouse again. Sammo, you're a relatively young guy. You weren't alive for the '85 Bears, right?
Yes, I was. I'll just look young. You know, black don't crack. It's they say. I'll be 45 in September. So
okay. There you go.
Yeah. So I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were a young blood.
Yeah, I remember listening to it on the radio.
I want all you guys to experience that, to experience what it's like to have a fucking dynamic team and being brokenhearted that you only win one Super Bowl. I'll take that. Give me a Super Bowl in 25 or 26, and I'll take that. And then you guys can go 50 years without a Super Bowl. I'll be dead.
85 Bears defense. When you were watching the game, it felt like you were physically punching the other team with your fists.
Man,
that's how good they were. It was like you got to take out your aggression by watching the Bears defense play during that season, just destroying teams. You're like, oh.
Well, that's what pissed me off about the 2018 Bears is like that defense was at, I mean, maybe not that level, obviously. It's a completely different game, but they were at that level of dominant where like, especially after that Rams game on Sunday Night Football, and they just like rode through that for the rest of the season. And then the offense was just like fucking baby soft. And it was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people like think about the double doink, and like what they don't forget is that the Bears had fucking 9 points in that game up until 2 minutes before the double doink.
Thank you.
Like they should have run away with that shit. You know, Phil used to always go on and on and on about how Jordan Howard had a 4th down run in that game that he should have housed, and he got tripped up by the shoelaces. Like that's the kind of shit that didn't happen with the 85 Bears. Yeah, and it's just what's so frustrating about like being Bears fans in our lifetime is how many of those seasons we've had, how many of those 2006 NFC Championship games we've lived through, and having to watch Caleb fucking Haney throw a pick 6 to BJ Raji of all people. Like come on,
remember that.
Yeah. Man, we wasted so many good championship defenses. You're absolutely right, man. We had with terrible offenses, man. During the Lovey era, especially, I thought that we had some really good defenses during that time. And
it's why I'm glad that like I'm looking at this team and I go, I don't know about the defense, and I'm like, good, because clearly it hasn't worked knowing good about the defense.
I'm kind of with you.
We had in 2005, what was it? 2006. We had the best defense in the league, the best returner of all time, and Matt Forte, and still could not win a Super Bowl with that team. I mean,
your wide receivers. I mean, and no offense to these guys, but it was Marty Booker and Muhsin Muhammad, was it not? Like,
weren't bad, but they weren't.
They weren't bad, but who was winning Super Bowls those years? It was.
We were missing Tommy Harris, man, and we had Tommy Harris and Mike Brown in that game.
Mike Brown would have lit that game up.
Man. Yeah, Mike Brown won that game. I just feel like we couldn't get that pressure up the middle on Peyton Manning, so he tore us apart.
But all I'm saying is look at who won all those Super Bowls. It was Antoine Randall, it was Reggie Wayne. It was, I don't think T.O. ever got one, but like, it was guys of that caliber. You need those weapons just as much as you need that quarterback. You need the guy with the quarterback. And that's what I'm hoping the Bears actually have with DJ Moore, or even with Rome Odunze, because I feel like we didn't really see enough of Rome last year to know that, it seems like they got the quarterback. Sure, it's been one season. There's all kinds of reason to doubt. Personally, like I said, I feel like it's a little preemptive to feel that way, but I understand, we're traumatized Bears fans. For some of us, we're White Sox fans too, and you just don't trust anything anymore. So, and I can't even imagine how Bulls fans feel right now. So,
What was that, Jeff?
He said, "Don't even get me started on the White Sox. They're such a."
I mean, Sammo started going off about failing to develop players, and I was like, "Please, can we not right now?" I have to watch Braden Montgomery and Tim Elko just smash AAA all season long.
They've got ones right now, and they're calling up garbage. Like, who was the guy they called up today that hasn't done a damn thing all season long? It's like guys, they have guys mashing in AAA. Give them a chance. What is going on?
No, we need to see more of Andrew Vaughn. It's fine.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right. Anything else regarding this main theme that we have about the Bears? Have they turned the corner? Anything else you guys want to share that might be, food for thought or
just something I think we should all consider as Bears fans. Matt Eberflus is currently getting paid $9 million a year or something ridiculous like that to not coach the Bears, and all we've ever gotten is a cease and desist. So it kind of pisses me off.
You know what? I pay him $20 million to coach the Bears. So, here, buddy, go to the Bahamas for the next 5 years. But he's landed well with the Cowboys and stuff. Did you see him in the draft? Sucking up to Jerry Jones. He's
landed with the Cowboys.
A blowjob.
Right? I don't know. I say he's landed well, but he's landed. That's for sure.
That's for sure. What did you think about the George Pickens trade from Pittsburgh to the Dallas Cowboys, guys?
The Steelers not have the worst luck with wide receivers, man.
All they do is trade them.
Haven't people learn not
Antonio Brown and now Pickens?
Don't take wide receivers the Steelers don't want. Juju Smith-Schuster, there's a reason they don't want these guys.
Chase Claypool.
Yeah, Claypool. Yeah, that was the
Steelers circle of wide receiver.
Yeah. Antoine Randall, I think, is the only one who's had success after the Steelers.
Yeah. Honestly. Draft questionable off the field character receiver that's got a lot of talent. When he falls a little bit in the draft, say we can handle this guy because he's got Mike Tomlin in a locker room who can do this stuff. He gets in there. He has a good season or two. He shows some good things, but then there's the stuff on tape like not running routes hard, not blocking. Yep. And eventually it gets old to where even the head coach now, Tomlin's like, I've had enough. Let's move on. And then they fleece some team for a second-round pick or something for him. It's just the same thing over and over and over again with them.
Hey, he's only gotten 4 teams with it so far, so he's got 28 more that he can still call up.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I got a little game I want us all to play. I've got 4 guys who were drafted by the Chicago Bears. I'm going to give you their scouting report, and you guys have to guess who it is. We're going to go one at a time. So, Sammo, I'm going to start with you. All right. So here is the player. After I finish reading this, I'm going to start the clock. So you got to come up with it within 30 seconds. So he's a special team. Yes, and this was his scouting report. Special team specialist with good size. Now, this guy could be from anywhere in the last 10, 15 years. Special team specialist with good size, despite spending 6 seasons in college, has a very modest production as a wideout, but flashed potential in that area in 2021. Not fundamentally sound route runner, but might not need to be if teams view him as a catch and run specialist in the quick game underneath. So that's the scouting report on this player. You got 25 seconds to come up with his name.
Velus Jones.
Anthony Miller.
Velus Jones.
Velus.
Who said Velus?
I did. Velus Jones.
He called.
All right. Well, you don't get the point because this was Sammo's question.
Yeah.
Mute
up, boys. Mute up.
You got the point.
Just ignore me. I'm fucking stupid. I'm not paying attention.
That's all right. But it is indeed Velus Jones. Sammo came up with it, but after you did, Jeff. Who was your first guess, Sammo? Who was your first guess, Sammo?
I said Anthony Miller was my first guess.
Oh, okay. Well, that would have been another one.
I was trying to remember the dates.
He was 2017, though. I
17,
2018, yeah.
Yeah, he came in with Trubisky.
Who wants the next one?
I'll go, I guess.
Okay,
I don't know. Jeff seemed pretty eager.
Yeah,
leave me alone. Leave me out of this.
Around the clock.
All right. So here's number 2. Oops. All right. A tempo-based runner with a well-built compact frame. He runs with a good blend of vision and strength. He's not a wiggle runner and needs to have some blocking up front to keep his feet moving, but his quick processing of the run lanes result in positive gains. His lack of pass pro and receiving talent could hurt his draft value. Who is this, Johnny Santucci?
I want to say Khalil Herbert.
And you would be right. Khalil Herbert it is. Very good.
All right. Nice.
Oh, that was a good one.
Very good. All right, Jeff, you ready?
Whenever you are, buddy.
All right. Let me get rid of that one and put the new one in. This is for Jeff Willis. All right. His speed is a standout feature, allowing him to beat defensive backs and create separation downfield. possesses a strong frame and strong hands, making him a threat on jump balls and in the red zone. Unrefined route running skills, and while not awful, several dropped very catchable balls give pause. Who is this player? Jeff Willis.
Ooh, shoot. That's tough. Strong frame, strong hands. Oh man, strong frame and strong hands.
If somebody knows, give a thumbs up. Oh, look at
It can't be Tyler Scott. It's got to be Alshon. It has to be Alshon. It's the only guy I can think of because he's not a refined route runner, but he's got strong hands. He did have some weird drops in college.
Is it Wims?
It's got to be Alshon.
That's I guess that's what I was going to
guess. I can see that. All right.
Yep, I was going to guess that.
You're going to have sex with John Santucci now.
Is that really a loss though, or is that a windfall? I'm trying to figure that
off
out.
camera. I hope
he's ready.
All right, the last one goes to Steven Zimmerman, and I pressed the wrong button. Let's try it here. All right, coming your way. I hope. All right. Swiss Army knife with size, speed, and versatility, capable of helping in 3 different phases for a team. Former All-Star prep receiver, his mismatch potential out of the backfield ranks as his most appealing play trait. Despite his size, he underwhelms as a runner and struggles to play with consistent decisiveness and aggression. You are on the clock, Mr. Zimmerman.
Interesting.
Where's the countdown?
Yeah, where's my countdown?
Yeah, I don't see the countdown. What the hell's going on?
That's fine. I get all the time I need on this one. We're gonna be here until 3 a.m., boys.
Yeah, that's what I got. I thought too.
Oh, man.
5, 4.
I want to say Anthony Miller, but I have no idea.
All right, here he comes into focus. It is Preston Everett.
Preston Everett.
Yeah.
That's
he was
6th round running back. Thank you.
Yeah. I gotta save the toughest one.
I knew it was gonna happen. Did Treston even last 2 years? I don't even think
he
so.
is out of
healthy.
Yeah, he's out of football right now. I checked on him today. Poor guy.
Did you call him up? Or?
It was 4.3 speed that he had. No, I didn't call him up. He doesn't have his number's unlisted now. I think he's living in the streets of New Orleans. No,
if you got 4.3 speed though, Ryan Poles wants to talk to you.
No shit.
Right?
You make a comeback.
Run a 4.3, you're on his radar.
All right, guys. Holy shit! It's already 20 minutes till the end of the show. We usually spend these last few minutes talking a little bit about pop culture. Has anybody seen anything that they want to recommend or stay away from? Tooch is nodding his head, so start with Tooch.
I saw Companion. Aldo and I talked about it before the show. If you haven't seen it, I would go check it out. It's really crazy.
Do you guys know
don't
the plot line? Yeah, I can't give away the surprise. Yeah, which happens about 30 minutes in.
There's more than a few surprises. Yeah.
Yes,
like a couple surprises minimum, but yeah.
But it's basically a love story / drama murder kind of thing, and all I can say is definitely worth watching if you like, action, blood, and some intrigue. It's a good movie. Lots of twists
and turns. Did you see it, Sammo?
That's what I like. No, I'm gonna check it out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's on Max, I believe.
Great cast, great acting.
Very
nicely directed as well.
Yeah.
Too.
If you guys watch the show Yellow Jackets, the actress that plays the lead role in Companion is one of the girls in Yellow Jackets that's in the stranded island.
And Heretic too.
And
one of the Mormon girls.
Yeah, she's pretty hot. Pretty hot. Yeah. I saw my wife and I finished watching The Pit, which is about an emergency room in Pittsburgh, and man, I am telling you, my wife cried so much. I didn't cry at all.
Oh yeah.
But man, it dealt with real human drama, and it's 15 different episodes, and each episode represents an hour of the day. So it shows the staff arriving for work at 7 o'clock in the morning and how they work 15 hours straight through really, really horrific injuries and shootings, and the drama of the head doctor played by Noah Wiley. If you watched ER years ago, he's kind of reprising that role, but now he's in charge of that ER. He's got a lot of pressure and some demons in him, and it's a teaching emergency room. So all of the young doctors are learning from the older doctors, and that represents good dialogue and competition with the young doctors going at it. If you like that kind of drama, The Pit on Max is definitely worth watching.
I'm crying.
Yeah. I'm crying.
I turned that on at your recommendation, Aldo, and I probably watched about half of it today. I mean,
really?
I couldn't stop. It was very enjoyable. I will say the stories are very good. The writing kind of hit and miss. There's some moments where it's like, man, like you just get sucked in, and then there's other moments where you're like, it's so clunky and forced that I'm just like, all right, can we just hurry up and get to the next part?
Yeah.
But I want to hurry up and get to the next part is the thing. Like I want to keep going. So there was some exposition at the very beginning of the show too, that I understand they're trying to set up their framing devices and everything. They're trying to set the tone and tell you their story. But again, it felt a little forced at first. And I was like, holy shit, just get to the point. Yeah. But overall, I mean, heavy show. Heavy, it really indeed. Like it was tearing at me in ways that I did not expect. It really points out a lot of real life things that like affect a lot of people in today's world, whether it be, just day-to-day struggles, whether it be the fucking fentanyl that we can't seem to stop distributing amongst our youth, whether it's what was some of the other things, just like general day-to-day healthcare stuff that frustrates a lot of people. Like, of course it always goes over it. And like the whole underlying thing, it reminded me of like if Scrubs took itself seriously, instead of being the comedy show that it was, it had that really same vibe, with the teaching hospital, like you said. Noah Wiley really takes on like a Dr. Cox kind of role. If you've seen Scrubs, I feel that the roles are very similar to the point where if you've ever watched Scrubs, Dr. Cox, every time he talks to the interns, he touches his nose and he crosses his arms. And, the lead doctor, he had his arms crossed in a scene, and I had to back it up to see if he did a nose touch first as like a nod to Dr. Cox, because like
that's funny. The
character reminded me so much of him in kind of the way that he's very human, but he deflects a lot through, through dark humor and antagonistic behavior. And it's probably just a coping mechanism that I'm sure a lot of doctors actually come up with in those situations. But I don't know. I do enjoy the story it's telling. Like I said, some of the writing is to me, but the story is very, very good.
Yeah, John Wells, who produced ER and is working on this project too as the lead showrunner, he said that he and Noah Wiley were talking during the COVID, and they were saying, man, these emergency room workers don't get the praise that they should get. And Noah, who had done ER and said, I'm done with that, I don't want to do that anymore, but he started to think, maybe I need to get back in there. Those were the best years of my life as an actor and as a storyteller and so forth. And that's what the main focus of the show is. After you watch the 15 episodes, there's a final scene where a bunch of the ER workers are having beers, and finally after 15 hours of working, and you just wish you were there having a beer with them and saying thank you for what you've done. It's unbelievable. It's really, really, really cool. I urge you guys to check it out.
To that point, with some of the realism behind it, that is something that I'm waiting for in the show, is some of these happy endings, so to say. It feels like everything that's coming in is more dramatic than the thing that just happened, and it feels very fictionalized in that way, in the sense of like there's no just like, oh, we thought this was a major problem, actually you're totally fine, go ahead home. And the guy lives happily ever after. It's like, oh, you're totally fine. Oh, wait, no, you're not. This kid had a silly thing, but actually now we have to call child services. And it's like, it always has to take some kind of twist for the dramatic. And I understand that's storytelling, that's TV, but it's like the moment that I realized that, it kind of took me out of it a little bit.
I can see that. Yeah. Sammo, what have you watched lately? Anything on Pornhub you want to share with us?
Not that I want to share with you guys. I don't share my girls on Pornhub. I love them.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
Not that I want to share, no.
Nothing really interesting lately. I just started watching this show Adolescence on Netflix.
Oh, yes.
I'm out on episode 3 of that one, trying to figure out what's really going on with this kid and if he really did the deed or not. I don't know if everyone's seen it, if I want to, spoil anything for anyone, but yeah.
So episode 3, you're gonna get some answers in episode 3. Right. But yeah, I'm telling you, man, that I was floored by that. As a father, the premise is did your teenage young teenage son commit a murder? And he's saying no, but then all of a sudden more and more evidence is building up against him, and so it's really heavy duty, man.
It is. I can't even imagine. Just the first episode took me out when he was saying, "No, I didn't do this." And then then the evidence comes out, and you're just like, "What the?" Dad's telling you to be honest with him and tell him so he can help you out.
And that little kid, that his acting is fucking fantastic.
He's incredible. Some really good acting in this show, and I think those are all British actors. In this show,
And Sammo, really did you notice that every episode is one take? There's no editing. It's all the camera is following them around throughout. They do some edits, but you can't see it. They do some digital stuff to make it seem like the camera is traveling throughout. So when you watch the next episode, pay attention to camera movements because there's no editing whatsoever. It's pretty awesome.
Check that out.
It was scary that we're possibly raising a generation so desensitized to violence. That it was a little frightening for me. Being a father of 3.
Yeah.
So something.
2 of them young girls.
Yeah. The social media, what they see on Hollywood and TV and their phones, viral videos, whatever, it's desensitizing these youth. They don't even realize that they've done something, egregious. So, it was really that Aldo and I talked about it on one show, right? We really
about 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah.
Fantastic show.
Jeff, you seen anything?
Not anything like new lately that you guys probably haven't seen. I'm trying to think of some of this stuff. So, a couple of things I've watched lately. Within the last month or so, I finished watching Yellowstone finally, which was, oh my God, that's one of the best shows I've seen in a long time. Between Yellowstone and 1883 and 1923, all 3 of those were excellent shows. I liked those a lot. I heard they're going to be coming out with some new stuff too, so I'm excited to see what they actually come out with. Outside of that, have you guys ever seen, and I went back and rewatched it because I watched it probably like a year or so ago on Peacock. There's a show, a documentary on Joe Montana. Have you guys ever seen that? It's really, really, really good. I think it's called Cool Under Pressure. I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I'm obviously a big Joe Montana fan to begin with. And it just kind of goes back to his recruitment in high school. And then it goes through his time at Notre Dame. And then when he was in San Francisco and just all the drama behind it between, with Steve Young when they brought him in, and how he's always basically doubted his whole career. And it is an excellent excellent if you haven't seen. It's only 5 or 6 episodes, about an hour apiece. So.
Does he talk at all about how?
Yeah, the whole thing. It's there is definitely a narrator, but it's for most part it's interviews from either him or other players he played with, or his wife is in there a little bit. Trying to think of who the main people that they're interviewing are.
Does he ever talk about his time when there were rumors that he was coming to the Bears out of Notre Dame? Did they mention that at all?
No, I don't think so. I don't think there was talk about that. They did talk about when he got traded to Kansas City that there was Arizona wanted him too, but he didn't want to go there. So he kind of like talks about that and some other things like that. So I don't want to like spoil it for you guys, but it's really good. If you haven't seen it yet, you should check it out.
On Peacock, huh?
Yeah, it's on Peacock. Yeah, I think it's called Cool Under Pressure or something. But if you search Joe Montana, you'll find it.
Did any of you guys start watching the Aaron Rodgers one on Netflix?
No.
Did it come out? Yeah, I don't think it can. Was it released? All right.
I couldn't get through it. I could not get through it.
I would
"Fuck this
literally
guy."
rather smash my nuts between two bricks.
It's such a douche.
There is there's a documentary on I think it's just a movie on I think it's Hulu that I keep hearing that I need to watch. You guys, do you know who Quincy Avery is? He's like a quarterback coach, quarterback guru.
Oh
kind
yeah,
of guy.
yeah.
He works with a lot of the young guys, but apparently there's a really good thing about him on Hulu, and I can't remember what it's called now, but I need to look that up and watch that because I keep hearing all over the place on Twitter that it's excellent. So it must. I mean, I would assume it's good. I want to check that out. You know what I've been watching a lot lately though is because of Sunday being the 4th though, and I'm sure you guys have all seen these movies if you're fans, but I just have always had such an appreciation for Star Wars. I've been watching them through since Sunday, like trying to go through like in order from 1 to 9. Steven, you're shaking. I don't like Star Wars too much, but I've always been a fan, so it is what it is. But it's funny. Have you guys seen these? I just found these in the store the other day. It just happened to be sitting next to me right now. There's Wheat Thins came out with these boxes with like Star Wars characters on them. I happened to pick one up that had Darth Vader on it the other day. Man, I don't know if I should open this thing up or eat it, or just keep it as a keepsake or something.
Oh, you got to keep that as a keepsake.
I know.
Man.
I know.
Oops.
There's like they had R2 and like Chewbacca, and I think the other one was Yoda. But yeah, they're pretty cool, man. I've been watching those things.
Such, what have you been viewing on the old TV screens?
Man, I gotta ask Jeff. I mean, like I only watched 1883. Is that the?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so which I loved. I couldn't stop watching. I thought it was fantastic. Then because I didn't see Yellowstone, so I was like, well, I better start at the beginning when 1883 came out. Well, I'll just start at the very beginning, And then I got to like 1923, but I couldn't get into it yet. I got to give it another shot. But my ultimate goal is to get to Yellowstone and watch that because I know it's good. But I haven't seen it. But 1923 is in the middle. It's like a roadblock.
It's like I feel like it's a slower build up early on.
Yeah.
They kind of like you don't really know what's going on exactly at first. I feel like until they kind of like talk it through, then you kind of get a sense of what's really happening. And I don't want to give you guys any spoilers, so I don't want to tell you anything. But just maybe kind of watch a little bit and give it some time. And you'll kind of put 2 and 2 together, what's happening, and by the end of it, you'll really know what's going on.
Okay, because I was like, maybe I should have watched maybe I should have watched them out of order, but
it doesn't. I don't think it matters.
Okay.
I'm the kind of person like you. I like to see, like even Star Wars, for instance. I don't like to start with like the movies from the 70s. I like to start from episode 1 and see things in order. You know what I mean? So
you actually watched the first 3?
I like them. Maybe not the second 2, not as much. I think the first one was okay.
I was gonna say the first one's fine.
Yeah,
It's a little Jar Jar Binks.
I hated him. I couldn't stand him as a character. I mean, we're talking Liam Neeson's in that movie. I thought he played a good character. So
yeah,
I liked
episode 1 is all right. Like it's I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars guy, but like episode 1 was watchable. Like episode 2 is like one of the biggest pieces of shit I've ever seen. I was like, what even is this?
I guess they've kind of rebounded a little bit with the more recent movies. With what's the guy that did Lost and all those other popular TV shows? He's taken the helm of the showrunner and stuff. I forgot who it is, but I've never been a big fan of Star Wars, only because I thought always that the acting was really bad. I'll give you an example, and I've said this for years now, so you might have heard it. But like even in one of the very first Star Wars, there is that moment when Obi-Wan Kenobi senses that the planet has blown up.
Yeah.
And so this is how they handled it. I felt a disturbance in the Force. Yeah. Anyways, as I was saying, it's like the fucking planet just blew up with millions of fucking people. And that's all you got? I felt a disturbance in the Force. And that was just George Lucas. He didn't have any. If you listen to any of the interviews, Harrison Ford, all of these guys say that George Lucas, genius, genius in terms of the technical stuff, but in terms of storytelling and emotion and stuff, the guy was fucking awful, and he wrote some really dumb dialogue too. But shit, I wish I was that bad of a fucking filmmaker. He's got like $10 billion.
Sir Alec Guinness too, one of the best actors of all time.
Yes, but I still respect what Lucas has done with Star Wars franchise. It's been a fucking amazing.
The best lines were improvised.
Yeah, that's right.
Harrison Ford. When she was like, "I love you," she goes, "I know." That wasn't in the script. He improvised that because Lucas
bad directing,
terrible dialogue.
Yeah, exactly. He said, that the line was supposed to be, "I love you too."
Yeah.
And it's like, and Harrison Ford is saying, this is a badass fucking guy. And you want him to say, "I love you too"? You got to come up with something better than that.
Right. Yep. He nailed it.
He sure fucking did. He sure fucking did. Anyway, we're coming close to May. We're going to end the show early, 5 minutes early. No, there's no way. We got to have more topics. Zim, how's the new job? Tell us about the new job.
Oh, it's great, man. I mean, I'm back in restaurants, so it's is what it is.
Are you spitting on people's food?
No, I mean, I got away from the industry for the better part of a decade. So to be back in it, like, job market's rough out there, boys. Like, hang on to what you got. Don't move jobs without finding something first. It's crazy out there right now. And for anybody, experiencing joblessness right now, like, my heart goes out to you. Absolutely. And I really hope that, it upturns a little bit here soon, because it's getting kind of scary out there for some people. It's why I had to change industries again, is because there wasn't anything available in the e-commerce industry that I was a part of for the last three-ish years of my life. E-commerce is taking a big hit, for a multitude of different worldwide reasons. I'm not going to get into any of that shit right now. So the point being that, I'm back home, basically, so to say. Restaurants I grew up in, me and Mike North did not have much of a different upbringing, being raised in restaurants. My parents owned a beef and hot dog stand just in the Denver area, not the Chicago area. So I grew up in the culture. It's why I have the background I do now. And that's why I say it's like being back home. But, sometimes home is not where you always want to be.
I need to stop and see Zim on my way back from Western Nebraska.
Yeah, man.
What's your town? Because it's like Council Bluffs, Iowa is where the restaurant I want you to experience.
Yeah. And I've been told that it's really similar to the joint that I'm working at now. So I do want to check it out with you when you swing through Council Bluffs. It's not too far from me.
I'm taking my family on the Wagon Trail, Aldo, Western Nebraska, which is, if you saw the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody saw that movie. It was filmed over there.
Great film.
Scotts Bluff and the Scotts Bluff Monument along the Wagon Trail, which is where settlers and Indians would mark, as a monument on their way west. And then there's Lake McConaughey, which is beautiful recreational lake with, like, they plopped a whole bunch of white sand in there, and blue water. It looks like you're in the Bahamas, although. But actually in Nebraska. But and then stop on my way back and see Steven Zimmerman.
Yeah,
on my way back.
Any hot girls over there?
No.
No hot girls?
So I think, I was on the show when I was up in Fargo, North Dakota, and I'm currently working in Omaha, Nebraska. Don't come looking for me. I don't live in Omaha, all right? But at any rate, I got to say, when I was up in Fargo, I didn't really notice any of the people, so to say. They're all just kind of blank-faced folks to me. Nothing really stood out to me.
Nobody says hi or anything?
Well, I mean, but yeah. But I mean, it's the hospitality industry. I talk to 500 people a day.
Right, right. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, and that's probably a conservative guess. So coming back to Nebraska, though, I mean, the number of times I double take and go, holy shit, that's an ugly dude. You know, I think Omaha might be one of the ugliest places I've ever been.
I like Omaha. They got a great zoo. And
I love Omaha. I just went
yeah.
to the zoo last weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, the infrastructure here is actually pretty incredible, especially considering the population size and density out here. It's really a well-planned city overall, which is something that, being from Denver and Chicago before that, I have no experience with. So it's really cool to just be able to get around, you know?
Yeah. You're on the Iowa side though, right?
I am. Yeah.
I'll have to stop through. I'm in Council Bluffs, and I think Aaron Mikulski's from Council Bluffs originally. He was on the show quite a bit back in the day. And he lived at Carter Lake, and now I think he's back in Council Bluffs. So, but Council Bluffs and Omaha, nice little area, I think.
If they don't have cute looking girls, then I don't have any fucking thing to do with it.
It's Iowa.
Don't want anything to do with it, huh?
They're all raised on corn out here, all right?
If you think Wisconsin women are hot, you might like Iowa.
I used to have a friend who grew up in Appleton, Wisconsin, and then he came to college down here in Chicago and stayed down here. He goes, yeah, all the girls in Appleton, if you like fat girls, you know, Appleton is the place to go.
That's the hometown of Willem Dafoe. Appleton.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Wow.
Well, guys, let's go around the horn and plug whatever you want to plug. Other than Tooch, don't plug Tooch. He's mine.
but Jeff has to. He's after the show.
Sammo, we'll start with you, brother. What you got going on? Shout out whoever you want.
Hey, it's been great being on here with you guys, Zim, Jeff, Tooch, and Aldo. All you guys, man, it's been great. Thanks again for the invite, Aldo. I don't have anything to plug, really, man. I just want to let everyone know you can find me at Big Sammo 80. See right there on X or Twitter, whichever you prefer to call it. And bear down.
And maybe we'll see you in the chat in tomorrow's Bears Country production show.
For sure.
Mr. Shorty is hoping you'll attend. Jeff, what do you got? I know what you got going. You got something going on Friday with that gentleman at the top of the center there.
That's right, Tooch. If you guys don't know already, none of you will. But special shout out, or I don't know if a sneak peek, I guess is the word for you guys who are here tonight. Tooch is going to be filling in for Aldo for us this week on Willis Twins. So we got a new producer and a guest host for the week, and we appreciate you filling in for us, Tooch. We'll have a good show. We'll talk a little bit more about the draft and whatnot, whatever else we kind of decide to dig into. So we'll see you guys on Friday night if you want to be there for that. That's at 7:00 Central Time.
Nice.
And you can follow me at _ Jeff Willis, by the way, on Twitter.
There you go. Zim, other than crying about the White Sox, what do you got going on?
That's about it, man. Avoiding watching the White Sox in between crying about them.
Really? Are you not watching them?
Nope. I can't. I live in Iowa, man.
That's right.
Iowa. Okay. Let me just go off on this since I don't have anything to plug. I really think that people need to be aware of like how MLB is dying right now because they refuse to loosen their blackout restrictions. And the more people that stop watching, the louder our voices.
Yep.
I have completely stopped watching baseball. It really sucks because I love the sport. I love the game. I love my White Sox. And honestly, I know you're not really supposed to root for both of them, but I enjoy watching the Cubs from time to time. All right. Especially when they're good like they are right now. It's good for the city of Chicago. That's all. That's at the end of the day. Isn't that what we're all about? Right. We want Chicago to be a little bit better, but it's so frustrating to not be able to watch not just the White Sox, but basically their whole division because I live in kind of a place nearby some MLB teams. Right. It's ridiculous. In the state of Iowa, I cannot watch 6 different MLB teams due to blackout restrictions. And it is just, it's asinine is what it is. And that's why I implore everybody out there that, again, if you want to let your voices be heard, don't buy the MLB package because all it's doing is continuing to enable this horrendous behavior. And it's the same kind of thing that allows Jerry Reinsdorf to keep putting mediocre teams on a field or a ball court and present it as if he's actually trying to do something. And, you your money is what speaks loudest here, right? That's what everybody says. So, put your money where your mouth is, and unfortunately, it means missing out on a sport that I love for a season.
Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks. So, Tooch, take us home. What are you plugging and close the show for us, okay?
Yep. As Jeff mentioned, I'll be on Willis Twin Towers on Friday. And then I'm trying to get together a Barfly Tailgate like post-draft thoughts show with the guys. So maybe hopefully that might be in the works. There's a thanks, Gooch. Gooch mentioned Andor, the TV show, which is really first season was brilliant. The second season, I don't know, but what's funny about it, Aldo, and I think is like Rogue One, which is where the character of Andor was introduced, which is like the prequel to Star Wars: A New Hope, Episode 4, A New Hope, which was the very first one in 1977. But it's like the movie that would come right before that one, and it's to me it's not one of the 9 canonical films, but to me it's like one of the best of all the films. I mean, it's a great movie, Rogue One, and then now Andor kind of tells the story before Rogue One. And it's like, when Andor was like a captain in the rebellion who end up like blowing up the Death Star in Episode 4. But like in this season of Andor, the original rebellion, they're all fucking idiots. They're like retarded.
Really?
It's so funny. Oh, he crash lands on this planet. They capture him, and they're so fucking dumb. Like that's how they become. How he becomes the leader.
I gotta watch that now.
Episode 1 was fantastic. I forgot that guy's name from The Bear that plays Richie. He's in season 1 of Andor. If you like, Eben Moss Britton or whatever his name, or Bacharach or whatever his name is, he's in the first season of Andor. There's a couple other British character actors. It's got a fantastic cast. There's so many good actors, Aldo, in the TV show. Stellan Skarsgård.
He's good.
Diego Luna is the lead. Then there's a bunch of other great actors too. I forget. There's a British guy who plays one of the in the Empire's like lead dogs on that they're hunting Andor. They're hunting Captain Andor. But I was like laughing my ass off that the reveal was that the original rebels were fucking retarded.
That is wild.
Yeah, it's funny, but so
I'm tempted. I'm tempted to do a Star Wars binge. Maybe when my grandson gets a few years older and I have him over, maybe I'll put him through that.
If you haven't seen Rogue One, Aldo, I think it's like Empire Strikes Back.
Never saw
the best one, in my opinion.
I saw the middle 3, and then the first one with Jar Jar, and then after the Jar Jar experience, I said, "Fuck this, man."
Almost single-handedly ruined that fucking movie. Damn, he was.
It was
horrible.
I know. It was horrible.
Yeah, I remember taking my daughter and we were all cheering, as soon as the fucking credits started rolling, it's got that familiar type going into infinity, and we're cheering and expecting a good time. And everybody in the theater was started to jeer Jar Jar, and my daughter turns to me because she's loving Jar Jar. It's a fucking cartoon character, right?
Right.
What are they doing, Daddy? Oh, they're just cheering Jar Jar on, honey. They want to break her heart.
Yeah, it was a weird movie. The lead actor is a little boy.
Yeah,
the Jake or whatever. Right? Was that becomes
Darth Vader.
Yeah, it becomes I forget the Anakin. Right,
Anakin.
The actor's Jake Lloyd or something like that.
Yeah,
that's right.
He played Anakin, and he was like what, 8 years old in the first.
Mm-hmm.
So you're following. The movie was destined to fail. I mean, the main character is like a little kid that you just can't relate to because you're not a little kid. You're expecting swashbuckling in space.
Yeah,
I
love the premise, and I'll tell you what, the Raiders of the Lost Ark, that fucking premise. Steven Spielberg directed it to perfection. That first Raiders movie is outstanding. Still holds up today. It's some of the subsequent ones weren't nearly as good, but still not as bad. And Star Wars was familiar in that it was these films that those filmmakers used to watch as kids when they would go to the theater, and they had those serials, the space serial, like
exactly,
Flash Gordon and shit like that.
Serials. These guys don't remember serials, you know. That's like that was you would go and there'd be like a cliffhanger. You know, you'd be like, oh, I gotta see it. There was like, you know, the trailers at the end of shows, you know, they'd show you like a little thing, you know, like get you to watch the next show and stuff. But yeah, those were the days. Man, the third Indiana Jones, like River Phoenix played a young Indiana Jones, like note perfect. You know, up to when he got the whip and everything. That was like The Last Crusade, and Sean Connery as his dad.
Yeah,
fantastic movie.
Great casting, indeed. Yep. I said serial, and I think Zim thought serial killer.
Right? Yeah, they have no idea. It's like way before their time. You know? Like Aldo and I would watch TV. We used to have to get up to fucking change the channel. There was no fucking remotes. Like your dad would be like, "Hey, get up and change the fucking channel."
Dial. Yeah, turn dial.
Yeah. I was the fucking remote in my house.
Right, exactly.
Aldo changed it, put it on channel 5.
Right.
And I go sit down, and just as soon as my ass hits the sofa, no, put it on 7.
Exactly.
All right, fellas. Boy, oh boy, what a great time! Time flew, man.
Yeah.
Time definitely flew. I know a lot of people have shit to do in the morning, so we'll let everybody go. We've got more programming this week. Tomorrow's Thursday. I think it's dark tomorrow, but on Friday, as Jeff and Tucci have been mentioning, it is the Willis Twin Towers. That should be a fantastic show. Please tune in. And the best way to stay on top of stuff is subscribe. If you like listening to audio podcasts, search for Barroom Network and you'll get all of the shows on your feed. So for Jeff, for Tooch, for Zim, for Sammo, for the whole fucking world, take care, everybody.